So in order to stay both away from disease and to maintain a good health, we need both preventive skills and promotive skills. Preventive skills are necessary because if we're not preventively competent enough, we will not stay alive. We will get injured and diseased and die prematurely. It might even have consequences if we don't have enough preventive skill. It might even have consequences for our offspring. But no matter how preventive we are, it will not take us all the way to good health. And to most people, actually, the promotive competence is the most challenging part of this whole scheme. Promotive competence means, if I may repeat myself, to be able to often enough expose oneself to such factors that our body and brain and soul need, to use behaviors which have the effect that we match our own needs. And this is so difficult that it's actually uphill. Most of us fail from time to time, more or less most of the time. And the uphill concept is, or upstream if you're a swimmer, it means that it's hard, it's gritty, it's stressful, it's sweaty, it's tough, it's challenging to keep up good health. It's nothing you have for free. You have to fight for it. You have to be actively, intentive, focused on trying to be as healthy as possible today and next day. It's not anything we have for free, not even for a couple of days in a row. So it's a very enticing mental trap that leads so many people to slide downhill. And the most common reason is passivity, to be passive, not caring enough about being healthy, not wanting to be healthy. Might sound very strange, but if the meaning of not wanting to be healthy is not that you want to be unhealthy, but that you forget to want to be healthy. And if you forget it, well, then you think about something else, which is actually the meaning of being passive towards your own health. And promotive competence means applying positive psychology in practice. Positive psychology is actually about, it's not about being overly optimistic and smiling all the time and shrugging no matter what happens. Positive psychology is nothing of the kind. It's about dealing with your own potentials, taking advantage of possibilities in everyday life situations. People who are good at positive psychology ask themselves often, what can this situation bring about? What's the potential? What's the possibility of this? What do I have for possibility in this situation? What can I do of this? What good could become of this? How good can I feel? How much energy can I have? How good health can I create for myself? So if you have a promotive competence, you often look in that direction, uphill. You look for possibilities. You look for options to do something that's good for you. And it might be other things than your own health. It might be the processes at your workplace, friendships, your family, all kinds of processes where we human beings are involved. You can apply promotive competence and look for possibilities to enhance the process, to promote it. And one way of describing this is as an act of balance. The concept of balancing in everyday life has more or less been in time having working hours on one side of the scale and spare time on the other side of the scale. But it's much more fruitful to think about this as an input and output of energy and other resources. And this balancing act is on a behavioral level. The salutogenic, health-creating behaviors consist of these two categories. The behaviors that cost energy and behaviors that give, regain, recover energy and other resources. And if we can handle this balancing act on a high level, that's one of the best ways of describing good health. Physical strength, mental strength. It's all about trying to keep up the balance on a high level. To some people, the one side is challenging. Some people don't like to be sweaty, to engage in challenging situations, to put on efforts. And other people have difficulties on the other side. People who don't like to sit down, take it easy, to relax, have a peaceful mind. They want to be active and do things, restless, going from one activity into the next. You need to be clever and competent on both sides in order to keep up a really good and sustainable health. To some people, it's easier than others. I for one, I like to work out. I like to do really hard exercise to become really, really tired. Some of you wonder, why do you do that? What should that be good for? Yeah, what is it good for? Why should I try to get as tired as possible in my legs or arms or back or even in my brain? Well, it's obvious. It's because the more tired I get today, the more energy I will have tomorrow. If I don't spend any energy today, I will have less energy tomorrow. Because if I pull down one of these sides on the scale, it will pull the other side down with it. And it doesn't matter which side I pull down, the other will come down. It's always the lowest side that decides on which level my life is, which level my energy is, which level my health is. And some people seem to forget, or maybe they've never understood, that the same principle goes for the psychological dimension. If you want to be mentally strong, you have to take on challenging situations. You have to go right into obnoxious situations. Ooh, I hate this, but it's important, and I want to really, I want to take on this challenge because it's meaningful. And what do you get? Well, tired, of course. You have a tired brain. And what should you do with that tired brain? You should, a few minutes later, you should shift gear. Go over into the other side of the scale and recover. And the more energy I have spent on this side, the more energy I will be able to recover. So that the end sum per day, per 24 hours, will be that my balance act is on the sum of both sides, is on a higher level. This is a very important concept of good health. And especially nowadays, I think most of you have heard of and read about the increasing psychological unhealth. Just the other day, there was a very serious, dramatic report from NIH, National Health Institute in the States. And they've done some vast studies on young Americans, and psychological unhealth is dramatically increasing. But that is not pathological, psychological, psychiatric diseases. They are not increasing. What is increasing is the functional type of psychological problems, not psychiatric diseases. And actually we need to learn more people to understand this concept, because that kind of functional psychological problems cannot be met with by clinical measures. We can't treat them. Even if we spend billions and more billions on healthcare systems, we doctors, psychiatrists, physicians can't do anything about that kind of psychological problems. That's this whole epidemic of psychological unhealth. It's not for hospitals, mental institutions. It can only be met with by educating people to keep this balance up, by involving themselves more often in important activities and then shifting to relaxation. And one of the problems, one of the challenges that a lot of people have nowadays is that they have a constant mental tension. And I'm not talking about anxiety disorders, nothing of the kind. This is just a low, subtle level of mental tension, but it's just above resting level. The brain is going, it's thinking all the time. I had a patient the other day who said, when I saw in our psychophysiological lab that he couldn't relax. So I asked, what are you doing? Oh, I'm thinking. Yeah, couldn't you try to stop that? Oh no, he said. It was the same for my mother and father and grandfather. You see, we don't come from monkeys. Our heritage is from hen. I have 2 hen inside here, and they keep babbling all the time. And then he turned to me and I said, "Doctor, can you make them quiet?" Yeah, with pills I can anesthetize you. But that's not a long-term solution to the problem. It's better if you learn the skill to relax, to make yourself having a peaceful mind. Because if you're not mentally in peace, relaxing, being able to enjoy a wonderful experience, then your anabolical processes, that's the scientific name of the recovery processes that we have on the right side. Unless we can actually relax and put ourselves at peace mentally, the whole anabolical system will be sabotaged. So this unbalanced situation is very serious, and it becomes easily a vicious circle. The problem is not only that all that mental work puts extra weight on the left side, but it's even more serious that it sabotages the right side. And please note this very important point. Exhaustion is not caused by overexertion or overwork. It can be, but not often. Exhaustion is caused by insufficient recovery. It's the right side that's sabotaging us and is the real cause for exhaustion. And when we work with exhausted patients, we try to teach them how to start on the level where they really have ended up very low. Their balancing act is ridiculously low sometimes, and they have to accept that and start on that level. And we try to teach them to take 2 steps at a time, 1 on each side. You can't take 2 on the same side. You have to take each step on either side. And if you learn to do that, you can pretty quickly climb back to a good life and a good health and mental resilience, mental strength, and a good health, both physically and mentally. I'm not propagating rashness. I'm not saying that you should involve in exceedingly exciting and dangerous activities and with that increase your health. But I would advise you all to more often engage yourself in really challenging hard work in between rounds of relaxing and inspirational activities that re-energize you. So we have to take responsibility for both sides of this balancing act in order to be healthy, both physically and psychologically. It has to be quite some part, about half the time actually, uncomfortable in order to maintain a good health. Thank you.